Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a really compelling story about a demanding career path. And it starts with a twist I think many of us can actually relate to.
Mm.
We're going to explore, making career choices, especially when family has a big say, and what it really means to find, well, fulfillment in a super specialized job like medicine. Our source for this deep dive is this really candid interview Chelsea did back in April 2023. She talked to an unnamed doctor working at a top tier hospital in China, what they call a 2A. These are known for being like the best, high standards, everything. But this isn't just about the job itself, it's a personal story. Discipline, ambition, how satisfaction can change over time. So, our mission today to pull out the key nuggets, the real insights from this doctor's experience. Think of it as, I guess, a shortcut to understanding how professional growth, work life, balance, that tricky thing, and finding purpose all fit together in these demanding fields. You'll hear about her journey from intense high school prep right through to working in this top hospital. Lots of hard-won wisdom in there. Okay, so let's dive right in. Our interviewee, she's from Shandong province, famous for being pretty intense academically, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
She was a science student preparing for the Gaokao, that's the big national college entrance exam in China back in 2006. You can just imagine the pressure. It's huge.
Absolutely huge. Your whole future feels like it hinges on it.
Exactly. But here's the first, really interesting bit. Medicine wasn't her choice.
Hmm.
Nope, it was completely her father's decision. He was a teacher, and he saw medicine as, a stable job, a really positive profession, secure, respected.
That's fascinating. And it really highlights that whole dynamic of family influence on big life choices, doesn't it?
Mm.
Especially in certain cultures where parents, well, their guidance is incredibly significant.
Totally. And does it clash with what she wanted?
Well, yeah. She actually admitted she felt more drawn to engineering or maybe pure science. She even described herself as having a tough girl personality.
Okay.
So you see this little, mismatch right from the start between what she felt suited her and the path laid out for her. It kind of challenges that idea that the only good career is when you pick entirely yourself.
Right.
Sometimes these external pushes lead somewhere unexpected.
That makes sense. So that internal conflict must have been there. But let's talk about high school then. The Gaokao year. You'd expect horror stories,
Totally. Hellish pressure, yeah.
but she remembers it fondly. She didn't call it hellish. She said it was a time of strong intensity, a highly structured life rhythm that she actually loved.
Loved. Wow. That's unusual.
Isn't it? She gave specifics too, like monthly exams, sometimes even weekly exams.
Whoa.
Constant focus on the next test, just drilling. And she said this actually helped her finally get concepts that were difficult before, but maybe more importantly, it built these incredible study habits.
Like what?
Like strict wake-up times, really structured periods for everything. It just became automatic. And she even said after the Gaokai results came out, she felt this sort of emptiness. She missed the structure.
That's powerful. It really flips the script on pressure always being bad.
Yeah.
For some people, maybe like her, that intense structure, even if someone else imposes it at first, it becomes like a foundation for discipline, for efficiency. And for you listening, as maybe we're thinking about, where did your work habits come from? Was it all you? Or were there, external things that, looking back, really shaped how you approach work now?
That's a great point. The seeds get sown early, often unexpectedly.
Exactly.
So this discipline wasn't just for the exam. It was like building a life framework. Okay, so let's fast forward. University, she studies 5-year clinical medicine, but it's at a double non-university.
Right, so not one of the absolute top-ranked 985 or 211 schools in China.
Yeah, usually that label matters,
Right.
but she had a different take.
Oh.
She felt that for super specialized fields like medicine, that double non-status isn't actually that big a deal. If the school has a really strong reputation within the medical community, that specific industry respect can matter more than the general ranking.
That makes a lot of sense. Deep expertise trumping broad prestige.
Exactly. And get this, university life sounded almost exactly like high school.
Really? It's still that intense.
Apparently. Early starts, packed days of classes, late nights studying in the library. She said it wasn't technically mandatory, but almost everyone did it.
Wow.
And there were even mandatory 11 p.m. lights out and power cuts in the dorms.
Okay, that's intense. That really paints a picture of that choose culture, that relentless competitiveness in education and careers there.
Yeah, relentless feels like the right word.
And that undergraduate intensity. It's just the start. She mentioned nearly all of her classmates went on to get master's degrees.
100%.
Close to it. And a lot of them later got doctorates, too, even after they'd started working. It's like this constant, almost required lifelong learning, a perpetual race for more qualifications.
So it's not just about getting the first degree.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And this feeds directly into the career ladder. It's very structured. You start as a resident doctor, then attending doctor, then associate chief physician, and finally chief physician.
Okay.
Those higher degrees. They seriously impact getting those titles. It's not just academic fluff. It affects your standing, your autonomy, patient load, income, everything. It's a clear path where more education equals advancement.
That's a powerful incentive. And you mentioned the criteria for promotion are changing too, not just research anymore.
Right. It used to be heavily weighted towards publishing research. Now there's a definite shift towards balancing that with clinical skills.
Like,
Measurable things, how many surgeries you do, patient consultations, managing inpatient cases. Research is still crucial, but the hands-on experience is gaining equal weight. Plus, if it's a teaching hospital, how well you teach matters too.
so it's multifaceted.
Definitely. It shows it's a complex path. Challenging, but dynamic.
So for the listener, what's the takeaway here?
I think it highlights that expertise isn't something you just get. It's this constant process, right? Learning, adapting. It takes a mix of skills, not just the technical stuff. It's a marathon, demanding resilience, strategy, and just deep ongoing commitment. You keep having to earn your place.
A marathon made of sprints, maybe. Okay, let's zero in on her specialization. She chose cardiovascular internal medicine for her master's. She called it hot and good, but also...
Relatively tough.
Yeah,
You can almost hear the ambition mixed with realism about the workload.
right. And she had a pretty stark definition for hot specialties in hospitals.
Which was,
Basically, it often links directly to the department's income level.
an objective measure.
Very objective. It reflects activity,
Mhm.
patient volume, perceived value within the hospital. Money talks, even in medicine, it seems.
It's true. And it's interesting how different specialties demand such different things.
Yeah.
Like surgery, you need that physical stamina, incredible dexterity. And she even mentioned observing in anatomy labs this feeling that there's an innate talent involved. Yeah. She actually regretted not pursuing surgery a bit, but also recognized the talent factor, something you maybe can't just learn through hard work alone.
Versus something like neurology.
Exactly. Neurology needs maybe more analytical skill, diagnostics, connecting tiny clues. It shows how diverse medicine is, catering to different natural abilities.
Makes sense. And what about AI? Did you think it would replace doctors?
She seemed pretty confident, at least for the short term, that while AI will be a huge help, it's unlikely to replace doctors entirely.
Why is that?
Because of those human skills, right?
Yeah.
The judgment, the empathy, the complex decision-making that AI just can't replicate yet. It underscores the lasting value of those professional skills.
That's reassuring. Okay, but let's not sugarcoat it. What about the tough parts? The less glamorous side.
She was very objective. She said, medicine is worthy, yes, but relatively tough. You need that constant learning attitude, and you have to accept that promotions aren't always going to be straightforward.
A winding road, you said.
Exactly. And she mentioned unfavorable external factors, too. Sadly, things like attacks on doctors, which is a real and scary issue sometimes.
That's awful.
And on a more personal level, she really dislikes night shifts, finds them harder and harder as she gets older. It's a reminder that even dedicated pros have limits, and what you can tolerate changes over time.
Yeah, that physical toll.
It really resonates with the challenges doctors face everywhere, doesn't it? The societal pressure, the emotional load, the physical demands, it all adds up over a career. It's a job that often asks for sacrifices way beyond the 9 to 5.
That invisible tax on personal time and energy, as you put it.
Yeah. And for you listening, it makes you think about the hidden costs in demanding professions and how your own tolerance for things like crazy hours or pressure might shift over your career. Acknowledging that is important.
It really is. Easy to admire from afar without seeing the weight. She actually hit a point of serious doubt, didn't she? A moment of shaking.
Yes, about a year after finishing her PhD, so around 2022, even after all that dedication, doubt crept in.
What triggered it?
A colleague, a very accomplished one, an associate chief physician, quit medicine, left the hospital.
Wow. To do what?
To become an MSL, a medical science liaison at a big multinational company, basically communicating medical info to other senior doctors. Different skill set, often better hours.
Oh.
And our interviewee seriously thought about following that path. She even applied for jobs, almost went to an MNC, she said. a real crossroads.
Yeah, that stopped her.
Ultimately, it came down to family considerations and other personal factors. She chose to stay at the top-tier hospital. It really shows how much personal values and life situations can steer these big decisions, sometimes even more than professional ambition or frustration.
That's a powerful point. And what about the money side of things? Was that a factor?
She described the income as generally middle to upper middle, enough to live comfortably, but definitely not leading to wealth freedom, unless you're like a top doctor at an elite place. And that takes immense effort, she stressed.
So a trade-off.
A big one. Most doctors, she said, sacrifice a lot of free time. Work just eats up the hours. It's a reminder that prestige and comfort often cost you dearly in personal time.
Okay, so despite the dad choosing her path, the intense grind, the moments of doubt, how did she feel overall?
Amazingly, she said no regrets. Rates her love for the job at 75/80 out of 100. She kept coming back to how respected it is, the strong technical skills involved. It feels like she found real purpose, even though the path wasn't initially hers.
That's incredible. Did she have advice for younger people, maybe students?
Yeah, particularly for students from maybe ordinary or middle-income families. Her advice was clear. Go for professions with strong, tangible technical skills.
Why those specifically?
Because, she argued, it gives you a solid base for your career, but also flexibility, versatility. If you want to change paths later, like her example of a doctor moving to a pharma company, those core technical skills make it much easier. They're transferable.
Build an adaptable skill set. Makes
No.
sense.
Absolutely. It underlines the value of those deep, specialized skills. They offer security, sure, but also adaptability. It reinforces needing resilience and strategic planning, even in fields that seem rigid. It's about building expertise that serves you long-term.
Right. Not just for today's job.
Exactly. And for you, listening, it's worth reflecting on how your values, maybe family, like in her case, shape your big career choices. And just the huge long-term benefit of getting those specialized transferable skills. They're like a foundation for your whole professional life.
What a journey. We've covered so much ground here, from, parental influence and the crazy demands of medical training, right through to how satisfaction changes and just how vital learning and adapting really are.
Yeah, the core insights are pretty stark, aren't they? The huge personal investment needed for these specialized jobs, the trade-offs you make between status and your own time, and just the strategic wisdom of building solid technical transferable skills.
Definitely. So before we wrap up, I asked her that classic time machine question. If you could go back, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh, I'm curious. What did she say?
It was simple, but kind of profound. Relax, don't be nervous. Especially about the Gaokao.
Relax.
Yeah. It's a reminder that even those massive, defining moments can be faced with a bit more calm, maybe. Her overall message was basically, relax, grab chances to learn, and face life's challenges with a peaceful mind.
That's really good advice.
It is. So as everyone listening reflects on this doctor's path chosen for her, but ultimately embraced, here's a final thought for you. What pivotal decision in your life, whether you chose it or it was chosen for you, are you really glad you made now? And if you did have that time machine, what's the one key piece of advice you'd give your younger self about facing the future?